back. You might have seen me a little bit earlier today doing a little bit of a little game called Mighty Number 9, but this time around I'm bringing something a little bit special for you all. This is the first time Indiethon's probably seen the likes of. This is Curse Crackers, For Whom the Bell Toils, a game developed by Colorgrave, a wonderful indie team with a fantastic community, and is just a group of folks working remotely, working all together to make some fantastic retro-inspired games such as this one. And you'll notice, quite simply, this is very much Game Boy Color inspired with its fantastic graphics and all that good jazz. Now today I'm going to be running Bonnie, who is a character that you can indeed unlock. She is normally the main rival of Belle, the initial protagonist, but indeed there is a playable Bonnie as of the 1.2 update to the game. And this is going to be any percent no cactus, which actually I'm the only, well, okay, not necessarily anymore, but I was one of the first people to post this run on the leaderboard. So hey, we'll see how good this gets. But joining me is a fellow Bonnie runner in himself, Twirlin' Curtis. How you doing, good sir?
Hey, how's it going? Thank you so much for inviting me to be on the commentary team. I appreciate it.
Heck yeah, man. It's going to be a great time, I'm sure. And then joining me is somebody I always appreciate having along for the ride, a man with a fantastic voice, knowledge for this game, and the writer to the Auto Splitter is Ioto Core.
Hello.
Good to have you back, sir. With that,
Good to be back.
heck yeah. Without further ado, let's get this run started, because we've been waiting a little bit, but it's time to wait no more. A couple of quick options to showcase first, and that's
There is one slight ado if I'd like to cut in. Just, can you do the stream thing?
Oh, right. I guess that turned off ever so briefly. Thank you. With that said, really quick, so we got run toggle, which is turned on. That'll allow me to press the run button, which I normally have to hold in order to keep running, but instead it just turns on and off just like that. And then we also got timer, which is going to be used for basically showing you how long I've been playing a level. It's more for convenience and a little bit of a nice addition to the game. And also, I'm just going to make sure that I pick a good, quick color palette for this one, because that's one of the nice things about this game. You can actually change your character's color palette, and I think I'll go with sign-offs right here.
Not gonna go with the Game Boy color palette, the 4 greens?
Maybe another time. All right, we'll start. Time begins once I've selected Bonnie, and that'll be in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go.
Hooray.
Did the cursor go over to Belle for a second?
Gosh dang it.
It
Okay, hang on. We need to restart the clock right here. I'm sorry about that. That's the second time this has happened to me in an event. It doesn't usually happen. I'd hate to say that this hasn't happened before moment, but it certainly is a bit of an annoying one. All right, sorry, we got to reset the clock really fast on that. Okay, my gosh. Min, if you could help me point that one out. Shout out to Min Braun, by the way, one of the Colorgrave members in the chat. But without further ado, let's go. All right, this time for real. 3, 2, 1, go.
Hooray. This time for realsies.
All right, so take it away, Ioto.
All right, so this is the Bonnie run, any percent no cactus. And there's a couple variations of the any percent run we use. Generally speaking, they're for Belle, but Bonnie has been added recently, so we get her playstyle. She's the... Would you call her, like, the mid-boss of the game?
She's the rival
Main
of the
rival?
game.
The duder agonist is the nerd word that I like to use to describe Bonnie.
Okay, yeah, that's it. That is the correct one, isn't it? Anyway, she's got a lot of movement options. I'm going to let Curtis explain those in a little bit, but I'll just go into like a brief talk about what the any percent run is. Any percent, as you're probably familiar with any other speed runs, is just beat the game as fast as possible. But we have the no cactus thing attached to this one. The cactus room is a special room that you only get available after you have beaten the game once, which allows you to input a bunch of cheat codes that let you unlock a bunch of extra abilities, unlock the world map, that sort of thing. Since we're using a no cactus run, that means this is effectively a run that's being done from the start of the game. You could basically do this run if you had a fresh install, never having played the game before. It's very, very easy to get into. But I'll let Curtis also start talking about the intricacies of Bonnie as opposed to Belle.
Sure. So like you were saying, Bonnie is the second playable character in the game, and her movement and options are very different to the main character Belle's. Kind of the conceit of the design of the game, I would say, is using a throwable tool to perform different kinds of motion, to be able to bounce off of your throwable tools. And Bonnie doesn't really have that exactly. She can't do any additional movement by throwing her scythe, with a little bit of exception. So instead, she has to utilize wall climbing and a very, very slight boost by doing a spin attack. But that spin attack gives you a lot more options when you're playing the game too, because the main character, Belle, her option is to jump on top of enemies' heads, right? She can bounce off of enemies. She's an acrobat in the game. But Bonnie cannot do this. If she jumps on top of an enemy, she will take damage. But she has a spin attack that if she lands on the top of an enemy, she can then use that to propel herself upwards. But you might see a couple times during the run, if the spin attack hits the ground, there is a slight moment of like a pause. And touching the lava right there is a very dangerous part of the part of this stage. This stage is actually like a little touchy. It's a little tenuous because there's a lot of lava in the stage and a lot of like verticality to it.
One of the tricks is, as Curtis mentioned, Bonnie can't jump on enemies. Belle, as an acrobat, has the ability to jump on enemies in order to bounce off, sort of like Mario would. Bonnie is much more combat-focused with the scythe, but because she can't jump on enemies, a lot of platforming sections that require something like a long horizontal movement across hazardous terrain become significantly more difficult for her. So it requires a much different pathing in order to get through any given level with these kinds of hazards in the way.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, in some ways, in contrast to the horizontal levels, the vertical levels can sometimes be a little easier because she has that wall grab mechanic.
Oh yeah, she's got a Mega Man X style wall jump.
Yeah, Mega Man X.
It just breaks open a bunch of levels. It's really funny.
Really cool too, because it gives her, like y'all said, the sense of verticality, which also owes itself to a nice little trick that you will supposedly see me try to use to the best of my ability. One that I'm not necessarily a master of per se just yet, but come on, there we go. Oh no, the game.
Yeah, so there we go. This is one of those weird sections where, as Belle, you would bounce off of that enemy in order to get enough height to get over to the skip cannon, which is, by the way, this is the skip cannon. This is how we sort of progress through the levels faster than normal. With Bonnie, it's a little bit trickier for that one.
It's very much so. I still, when I'm doing my runs, that's like a large point of, I wouldn't say reset yet, but time loss for sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't even consider this a reset point, if anything. It's just certainly one of those things where if you lose a bit of time, you'll have a little bit to work back for sure. Now, if you, say, really get to the point where you've got little to no time to whittle down and that does become a reset point, then yeah, I would agree there.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, this is just the simple stuff in terms of Bonnie's little poetry in motion. Now, I want to make a quick point out to the Ardell Roses, that one of which you just saw me collect. I don't actually have to. In Belle's case, I do, because one of the requirements in order to unlock the gateway to the final world of the main story requires the collection of 30 of these. Bonnie completely negates this, so her campaign is generally faster in terms of progression as well, and therefore one of the things that would normally happen in a Belle no Cactus run is there are some levels that would actually return to after utilizing the skip cannon. The reason for this is because Curse Crackers actually identifies all the collectibles that you've gotten to this point, so once you collect them per se, then it's yours to keep, and even if you exit from the level, and then just go back to it, it'll still be collected. And that's one of the nice things about this that makes it so convenient, this game as a platformer in general. It makes collecting things just so much less of a hassle, and also makes things a little more adjustable to your needs and desires, especially if you're running categories like Cannonless, where we completely forego the skip cannons.
Yeah, Cannonless is effectively just a straight run of the game as if you were playing it without having done anything. Just do all the levels as fast as you can all the way through. Mostly. There's a couple caveats to that.
And I will say, this game is very, very kind, I would say, to accidental deaths. Like, we can see one just happened, but you really don't go that far back. There's only a couple seconds of reset for that. So it's pretty kind to new runners, I would say. Which
I would mostly agree, yeah. Sure, the idea of trying to get through this game as fast as you can is to also be wary of your health, which can sometimes work against some people. I know it can for me, because I, as a gamer, tend to be a little reckless sometimes.
Yeah, it's actually kind of an interesting point. There's no pushback to getting damaged in this game, so you can use your 3 health points as kind of like a go fast for free point. Like if there's an enemy in your way and you just don't want to wait, technically you don't have to if you have that health. You can really utilize damage boosting in this. But because you can only have 3 at once, you really have to consider where you want to use those boosts.
That was
an incredible jump, by the way.
Holy jeez, that was so swag. So, allow me to explain that trick, by the way. Or actually, no, I'll let one of the commentators explain this.
Yeah, Curtis, you're going to have to do that, because I'm still trying to get to grips with that trick, personally.
You know, to be honest, I'm not sure why it works, only that occasionally, with a jump input, or a slam input, which is her jumping, spinning move, with a slam input right after a jump sometimes, you can get additional height. And that works on several things, whether it's wall climbing or springs or enemies, and also the little like grappling hook springs that you can grab onto. It works on those too. Yeah, I'm not sure why it happens yet, but you can get a lot of height.
I imagine it's probably similar to how the Belle super jump works.
Yes. Belle has a similar trick where if you press the jump button as you're hitting things like a bounce pad, basically it causes her jump height to go soaring much more so, for sure. And it's a really nice trick, not necessarily one that needs to happen per se, but again, just a nice trick in general to have. I also want to make mention too, Bonnie's a special ability here, that little scythe jump, that's all the work of pressing the item button, the dedicated item button, which in Belle's case, she would normally have slot for a singular item, but in Bonnie's case, she is strictly limited to having the scythe. She cannot collect items, she cannot purchase items, she's only going to have the scythe. And the reason for this is Bonnie is technically a criminal. She's not necessarily allowed to go shopping for that reason. She's kind of on the run from the law. She did crimes, and now she's living vicariously by her own way.
I can testify, absolutely. If you own a scythe, you are a criminal. That's just the way that it works, for sure.
Yeah, fun fact, she actually stole it from a sacred graveyard.
As you do. That's where scythes come from.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Where else are you going to get your scythes from?
Absolutely.
I mean, this is true. Bonnie, by the way, is what's called a Hearthen, which, if you're familiar with Colorgrave's previous game, Prodigal, they actually share the same world, and the idea is that a Hearthen is essentially sort of like a bunny human in a way, so you're noticing the little ears on her, and that's kind of why. And Hearthen are sometimes individuals that can have powers which are known as gifted, and Bonnie's here is necromancy. The idea is that these minions are actually her creations. It's just that when you're playing as her, they're basically going against you. Not really explained why, though, because normally when you play as Bonnie for the first time, it's through a special little mode which we call Bonnie Mania. And in that case, you're actually trying to save Belle. It's part of the post-game. And so Bonnie's powers are basically running a little bit of it against her, and so the minions are not quite listening in that case. Here, on the other hand, it's just game logic for convenience, I would say.
Yeah. Also, fun fact, the skeletons are all inflatable.
Oh, that's true, yes. So, if I were fighting some of the bosses, you would see this for yourself. But yeah, no, this is very true.
Oh, that is great the way you do that room. I'm about to have to steal that. That's fantastic, actually.
Speaking of bosses,
actually, yeah, I forgot we fight Argus. So this is Argus. We're playing Pong, and that's basically the fight.
I really just like this fight because he's got random movements.
Yeah, case in point right there. Oops! Oh, well, that was a little unfortunate.
Well, what you saw there was a little secret that will help us out later called Riot Mode, where Bonnie goes absolutely sicko and can fly.
Yeah, quite literally. So, Bonnie taps into her inner Grim Reaper, basically, and, oop! Whoops. Yeah. So everyone say hi to Claire. See, she always appears within the first 4 worlds' 4th stage, and she usually asks Belle to do a fetch quest for a special little ingredient, which allows her to cook a magical concoction, which then allows Chime, her Belle partner, to do some pretty nifty transformations and all sorts of nice little progressional stuff. And in this case, we can't really make use of that, but the nice thing that Colorgrave did when implementing Bonnie's full-on gameplay is they threw in a few destructible blocks that only her scythe can take care of. So I'm going to essentially find a backdoor alternative goal in order to complete this level. Other than that, I think that's basically the gist of how we're going on to things, because then once we get to level 5, it's going to be a straightforward couple of boss fights. And yeah, honestly, I think we're in a good point on to pass it on over to the host. So, Sprinkle, if you've got any donations or announcements, let's hear them.
Yeah, we just want to thank everyone for being here tonight, today. And we also especially want to thank Team 17, who has supported every marathon we've done. For this event, they have given us 19 games and 4 packs to give to lucky donors. For more information on our prizes, just type in !prizes in chat.
Sounds good to me. And yeah, no, absolutely. Everyone, if you're interested in potentially winning those games, definitely do so. Not only are you helping the Samaritans in the process, but you're also potentially giving yourself a nice package as a result of it. Trust me, it's one of the nice things to see one of the most notable publishers out there supporting our events, and I certainly can say I appreciate that. But yeah, we've cleared level 4. And you'll notice, by the way, the reason I went through those levels normally is because the library world does not have a skip cannon. That's simple as that. All right, here's Beakton. He's a
now for one of the most intricate fights.
Yes, what Curtis said.
All right, nice. Let's go.
Yay!
He's down.
All right.
And now for
usually
Bonnie.
at this point, yes, you fight Bonnie, but now there's also a Bonnie, so don't worry about it. It's fine. Don't think too hard about it.
Faker.
I have to say, this fight is a lot easier as Bonnie. Slower,
potentially,
but easier.
But it also can be a little bit interesting to get used to for first-time players. I would know because my first ever run of this category was semi-blind, so
that
there
was
you go.
So clean. That was so clean.
That was, yeah, very good.
All right.
So in the normal course of the gameplay, at this point, you'd be tasked with getting 30 Ardell Roses, or if you're speedrunning it, you would have 30 Ardell Roses already. Portal would open up, Bonnie gets kidnapped, you go to the moon, and you're trying to find Bonnie. That's basically how it goes there. But since Bonnie doesn't need to do that and collect Ardell Roses, she can just skip that section, go right into the portal, and head to the moon, grab the key, and we're fighting our third boss.
This is Tantra, a Cyclops bratty child, which we would normally see a little bit of if we were playing as Belle. She usually makes a couple of appearances within a couple of stages. Basically, she's not necessarily... Oh, wait, hang on. Did she go to the right? Okay, good. Yeah. I actually lost track for a second. That's not a good...
I'll put double eyes on it for you.
That's fine. You don't have to do that for me. I just... Okay, anyway. Sorry. That was probably one of the most silliest moments I've ever had as a runner. So yeah, Tendra is basically casting a few spells. The gray spike balls will not hurt us, so I can stand it within it for no damage, and then she creates these little gray clones which will shoot those magic projectiles at us. And then she does what I like to call the equivalent of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Shuffling Hats spell card, and effectively I have to find her. Okay, I lost sight. I'm gonna... Dang it, okay. Unfortunately, that one was a little too fast, because, yeah, I don't know, that just...
Yeah, you were dodging the ball at the same time.
Exactly.
Yeah, those clones are stressful, especially if they appear, like, far apart, and you can't quite get to all of them. Those homing balls are rough to deal with.
Yeah. Wait, what? That was the shortest shuffle cycle I've ever seen.
Short shuffle, wow.
What in the name of RNG was that?
I've never seen that happen before.
That's never happened before. That's the second time in Indiethon this program that I've said that too. What the G's.
We love it.
You'll love to see it. Okay.
I actually didn't know that the hat had a random duration.
I'm pretty sure, judging by that alone, either that or the coding just decided to pity me for some silly little reason.
It does happen. I did a couple of runs of this week, and I think maybe once or twice I had a single on the first one. I'm not sure why or like what causes it, but occasionally it'll happen.
There we go.
All right, that's Tedra down. Every boss in this game pretty much functions on a 3-hit system, where you just do the boss pattern 3 times, figure it out, and you're good. The boss that we're going to be dealing with at the end of this level does not, which is going to be more difficult for Bonnie, I feel like, because
It kind of is.
particularly, yeah, I mean, I haven't really done a Bonnie run, so I imagine that because of the way her damage works, it's probably going to be a bit weird.
It's quite interesting overall. And for
That room
those
was so
curious as to
nice.
how you even unlock her, so that's the interesting thing too. You gotta play through Bonnie Mania and complete it for the first time, and then the game says, congratulations, you can now select her whenever you do a new file. That's the interesting thing too, though, because you can technically play as her in Belle's campaign through a special relic that you unlock, which originally didn't have that purpose, but ever since version 1.2 it now does. So here's Lear, and she's the Harpy companion, the sort of Bonnie to Tidra's Clyde. Not really, they're actually not romantically involved, but she takes 20 hits to defeat, and I just gotta basically damage her with the scythe, because there's not really much else to do. Ow!
Yeah, so Tedra is very annoying. Even in the Belle run, she's got... Let's see, the big problem with her in the Belle run is she has that one move where she does like a spiral dash thing across the screen.
Oh, it's so fast.
It's fast, and also she's invulnerable during it, I believe. So it's just a loss of time every time she does it. She also has these other attacks, which, she just cycles between every so often, and they leave her open long enough to get a couple hits in. The trick with the Belle version of this fight is that as a Belle runner, you get the ability to, like, chuck your weapon into her, and it rebounds into you, and it just keeps bouncing back and forth. So you can get 20 hits off fairly quickly. But in Bonnie's case, because the scythe only hits once on a throw and has a fairly lengthy return time, it actually takes a little bit more to get through the fight.
It's true.
I'm
Also,
gonna
nicely
say
done.
this right now, by the way. The estimate is probably gonna get smashed. This is hot.
Yo, I will say some of your movement in, like, especially Astral 2 there was delightful.
Yeah, that was excelente.
I appreciate that, fellas, truly. It's just so fun to eventually get used to Bonnie's movement. It almost feels like there's this instinct that unlocks within you. I'd say the same for Belle. And if you don't believe me, check out our top Belle runner, Druid Borse, who basically is Cass in human form. I kid you not.
Yeah, Druid is something else for sure.
Alright, so we are actually moving into the final 3 stages of the run, and the interesting thing to note about that is, with this game and story checks, it actually requires you to only beat Lear's level. You can, if you are given the chance to, you can outright skip Tedra, which we do for any percent, so it's a really interesting thing overall, and probably one of the most convenient things about what we understand from this game. Because also we use that to the advantage of, well, okay, actually, we don't really use this to an advantage, but basically it prevents us from having to see Chime get chucked.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I'm having a little trouble getting my footing on this one, though. This definitely can trip one up, no doubt.
Yeah,
I mean,
this is one of those sections that works a lot more smoothly as Belle, because you get the ability to bounce on top of Chime, so you can throw Chime down onto those blocks that change the block around, so you can bounce off of that, effectively off empty space, and make your way across that gap with a little bit of extra room. But with Bonnie, you just have to do it, like, cleanly.
Right.
Okay, 2 more levels to go. Whoop, blah, blah, blah.
Although
That
I
was
will
just
say, like,
in the way.
if I think people should definitely check out this game. I would think it'd be really cool to have more runners of it and more people to talk to about it. And this stage in particular made me feel some kind of way the first time I did it as Belle, because there's a couple story beats that we get to skip as Bonnie that are pretty well written, I have to say, and like incorporates into the gameplay and into this stage very, very well.
Oh yeah, it's really excellent how well it's done.
This
Like,
game is
legitimately.
truly a delight. And hey, if you are a little curious about whether or not you feel like you jive well with the gameplay, we got good news for you. There is a demo on Steam, so you can just get it for free. You can play this for free. You can see whether or not you like it by playing through the entire set of levels within the first world. And the best part is, if you do decide to get the final game, all your progress carries over, so we highly recommend it. And on top of that too, our speedrun leaderboard also carries demo categories as well, which are still very much viable to this day. So even with the demo still very much being present, demo percent runners are very much still welcome to do exactly that. But also, as Min mentioned, yes, the game is currently on sale as well, so I'd say this is a fine time to get Curse Crackers, if any. Also, worth mentioning too, if you are not much of a Steam gamer, good news, itch.io also has this game.
Unfortunately, if you're not much of a PC gamer, not much luck for you at the moment. Maybe in the future, though.
Yeah, that's what we hope.
All right, so currently we are fighting Liadra, the fusion of Lear and Tedra. How'd that happen? Don't worry about it. It's fine.
All right, riot mode, let's go.
Yeah! So that's a special little mode that gets unlocked in Bonnie Mania. It doesn't get used as much here in this particular run type, but it's much more relevant in the Bonnie Mania run itself.
Uh-oh, was the game not on itch this whole time? Was I sorely mistaken? Sorry, man, I might have made a misassumption.
How could you do this?
All right, and time will be coming up soon.
Yes, as soon as the cutscene starts.
Yes, so the moment we get the first text box frame is time. And wait for it? Not yet. I didn't mean to make it sound like we're there yet.
Wow, what is this RNG?
I don't know, but it'll soon end. And time!
All right.
Nice.
2342.88 is a massive PB on that.
You love to see a live PB.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations.
Like I said, that PB was going to get smashed. And bam, we did exactly that. And I think that was a phenomenal run overall. Let's heckin' go. All right, so... What was that? Sorry, go ahead.
I think that's awesome. Do you have any words, or if you have any final words?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. So, folks, if you would like to try this game as a speed run, we highly implore that you go ahead and head on over to Colorgrave's official Discord, where you can find speedrunning communities for both this game as well as Prodigal, and you'll also get notifications on dev streams where you can see the Colorgrave members working on some things, as well as being able to just be a part of this ever-growing, wonderful community. Shout out to all the speedrunners out there. We even have, we've been getting quite a few recent runners, including a quick shout out to my friend Metroid Crime, who recently picked up Belle. Seriously, this is a game that I hope to keep showing off for as many events as we can, because Colorgrave did a phenomenal job, and I've come to love their work through this. I'm so glad. And it's almost 1 year old. This game actually fully released on August 31st of last year. So I'm going to try and see if I can't do something a little special for that. But let me tell you, shout out to Colorgrave. And if you want to check out the Discord, the link is on the leaderboard. So other than that, Ayato, Curtis, where can these wonderful people find you?
You go first.
All right. So, current events happening notwithstanding, you can find me over on Twitter at IotoCorp. I also have a social landing page, which is social.iotocorp.com. I'm also on a variety of social media websites, so if current events continue happening, I'll be on the internet. Also, I would also just like chime in here. Chime. You might have gotten confused because Prodigal is on itch.io, but Curse Crackers is not.
Thank you. Thank you for correcting my silly mistake there. Yes, if you want to get Prodigal on itch.io, you can.
Yeah, but apart from that, definitely pick up the demo. It is an excellent game. It was actually my first real speed run.
Ooh.
And I started with Curse Crackers with the demo. So it is incredibly easy to pick up and learn, but there is a lot to go if you want to like keep learning how to speedrun the game. It is a ton of fun. Highly recommended.
Absolutely so. And Curtis?
You can find me on Twitter or Twitch at TwirlinCurtis on both sites. I have a podcast about Final Fantasy you can check out called Every FNFF. I tour sometimes in a band called Zaku, and I would say the thing I would most like to say right now is you should get Curse Crackers because this game is as deep as the ocean. You've seen like a little bit of the game right now as like a straightforward platformer, but it goes some places. Every time you think you've got 100% of your hand on it, you don't. There's a little bit more, and so it's very interesting. So definitely check it out and come play this game with us.
Oh yeah, like you've seen the platforming aspects. There's multiple side quests. There's NPCs to talk to all over the place. There's a lot more game than just running around and jumping on enemies, as fun as that is.
All right. Well, thank you so much to Indiethon for having me for their summer program. It was such a blast to be able to support indie games and show some stuff. And of course, all while submitting, or rather, supporting Samaritans. So, folks, I know there's still quite a bit of event left, and I know there should still be a decent amount of incentives too. I want you all to do what you can. No matter how big or small your donation is, it is always appreciated. I want to see what we can do by the end of this event. But with that said, my Twitch is TempestMask1000, as well as my YouTube channel, and if you want to check any stream announcements or things I like to post, my Twitter is at It'sTempestSteve. And with that said, I must bid you all adieu. But until we meet next, ciao amici!